We made this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of CHUCKYVISION, the podcast that covers all things Chucky the Killer Doll. We have covered the movies, we have covered season 1 of Sci-Fi's Chucky, we've covered all sorts of bobbins in between, and now we are covering episode by episode, season 2 of Chucky. We are at episode 3, Hail Mary. I'm your host as always, Devon, and with me as always, my good co-host, Mark. How are you?
I'm alright, yeah. I'm excited about Chucky, even though we are over a third of the way through
You want to get fractional
this
about it, yeah?
season. Yeah, because it just doesn't feel like there's enough Chucky. I guess for some reason, you're used to American series like Buffy having 22 episodes and British series like Doctor Who having 13. And 8 just doesn't feel like enough. I want more Chucky. More.
We made that point, didn't we? I think just last episode about how season 1 felt quite long because we'd never experienced so much Chucky before. But now that we've done that race before, now we're feeling the pace of it. Now we know that we're jogging along and we're seeing that finish line already in sight. And by episode 4, we're already going to be halfway into it.
Which is bonkers.
All my notes and stuff are still like, oh, these plot lines are being set up, or, all these things are being teased, and we're at the halfway point, so things are going to start paying off quite soon.
I think maybe it's almost like a psychological thing, but it feels like this series is more pacey than season 1, but it probably isn't. It's probably just, I've got it into my head that there aren't that many episodes. Because I'm used to Chucky being a teleseries now, rather than the novelty of series 1 being like we've got 8 hours of Chucky. And I keep saying series and season and getting mixed up because British do series and Americans do season. And I'm trying to get it right and I'm not. I don't care.
That was something I was considering the entire episode. I felt it, how the first 2 episodes, the first episode was a lot of setup of the characters, where they are, what's been happening since the last season. Episode 2 felt like a lot of establishment of the new setting and all of these new characters. This really felt like, and there were very certain scenes, like just the way that people were, constantly in Jake and Devon's room, just coming in and out and in and out and going different places. They had skipped ahead. There's a little bit of a time jump. They say, they've already been here several days. So, talking about the pacing, like the rhythm of it, they've already settled in. Like there's a speed to it.
Before we start to talk about this episode, I would like to say I'm quite cross.
Oh, no.
We got lots and lots of Tiffany. And the cliffhanger was the arrival of Glenn and Glenda. And we got 0 Tiffany and 0 Glenn and Glenda in this episode. I'm cross. That was the fucking cliffhanger. And we've got to wait another week now. Maybe even longer. They're fucking trolling. Fucking trolling.
Well, one thing we don't see, or I keep forgetting to see, and then I watch it a few days later on YouTube. But I actually did watch the next time on Chucky this time. And they do...
Oh, okay.
Unless the next episode after this one does something random, it seems like they're going back and forth each episode. So next episode, and I'll talk about what happens next episode is a Tiffany episode.
Woo!
And it does seem like
Tiffany.
All Tiffany, all that side of it. So it seems like they're going back and forth rather than holding that all back to the second half of the season like we thought it would.
Right. Well, fair enough. But no, I didn't watch the next time on Chucky first any of the first 3 episodes. So
They are very brief, to be fair. They're like 20 seconds. But let's get into this episode. And I feel like a lot happens in this episode. Let's talk about Father Bryce, because we have been, in all of our discussions about him, our discussions have been pretty much all predictions. Like, oh, is he going to be like this? Is he going to be like that? And quite ironically, this scene kind of helped me understand what his character is going to be, because we kept saying, is he going to be a good guy? Is he going to be a bad guy? Is he going to be a good religious guy? A bad religious guy? And this whole conversation was about the notion of choice. How external choices affect you internally as a person. And that made me realize, like, oh, that's going to be his role in it in 2 ways. In the main way, it's because the outside world sees Jake and Devon and Lexi as these people who have made bad choices, and those bad choices have led them to this school. But of course, we've seen that they haven't had the opportunity to make any choices, because Chucky has been, tormenting them the past season. They haven't really had a chance to make any choices in their own life. And I think that's a good setup for the character of, Jake and the others, because as we see in this episode, they are now making choices rather than just fight or flight. They are making these interesting choices with Chucky. And that's good to see protagonists be more proactive.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a deliberate thing that they've kind of come to terms with what their situation is, and they're being more pragmatic about it rather than running scared. And that makes it a different dynamic. And you see that with the way they handle the Scout Chucky when they tie him up.
Yeah, and that's really refreshing to see, because otherwise it would be 8 episodes of them surviving this Catholic school. And then what? They just go to another location and then have to survive Chucky again? It's nice that these characters are evolving. They're not just being forced to evolve. They're like almost choosing to evolve now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So yeah, we get to the kids now with the Chucky and what they're trying to do. We get more of them talking about the plans of Chucky. Feel like a bit of a dial back from the last episode when Jake very confidently said, I know what Chucky is trying to do. Never elaborates on that.
I guess it was just that because he was taking the photos with the phone, he was a Scout Chucky. That's what they said, wasn't it?
I guess so, yeah, but then
that's all it is.
They don't know why.
And when they're kind of like talking to him, honestly, the obsession with reflection in knives is really peculiar in this show. It happens like every other episode, I think. Doesn't it happen twice in this episode?
I think so. It's definitely become a Chucky staple now.
It was really, really cool the first time, and I'm not sure it's as cool now, unfortunately. They've clearly got very shiny knives in this reality.
Well, we get different kinds of reflections, because we also have Chucky selfies, but then Lexi drags his ass and says the ankles are all wrong. Which I think is a nice little reference to the fact that Chucky is a very old man. But yeah, the main crux of them trying to figure stuff out, they get one clue on the phone that he has a contact called the Colonel. That's cool that there's a mystery angle now. We're getting to see all these sort of different Chuckies. Like, we saw shades of different Chucky, but now we're getting almost completely different Chuckies. And
yes,
I can't wait to see who the Colonel is.
Maybe he'll have a tash. Or maybe it's Bald Chucky. Nah, Bald Chucky's the best Chucky.
Or Chucky with a grenade. We can harken back to Child's Play 3 again.
True. I'm fascinated by what they're doing with these different Chuckies. I mean, obviously we see a second Chucky later on in this episode. But yeah, I do wonder how many different functions of Chucky we'll get.
That is definitely seemingly going to be the exciting... Like, I mean, there's a lot of excitement in this show, but like that's is now being established as a thing. We can expect a kill, maybe 2 kills each episode, and so we're always anticipating what that's going to be. But now it's always becoming, what's the next Chucky going to be?
Yeah, what specialist skills does he have?
Because, yeah, so far we're having some really, really interesting ones and some fun ones, and I'm wondering how long it takes before they just get to, like, here's Italian Chucky. He's Chucky, but he just happens to be Italian.
I don't think we're gonna get Italian Chucky. I would love British Chucky, though. Imagine if there's a British Chucky. That would please me.
We're veering into that range of, like, the obsession of the multiverse that everyone has these days. Everyone's always talking about the multiverse. We had all these different versions of Chucky.
True.
Oh, with different things, though. We got different credits, as always. But, like, extra different credits.
Yeah.
Why is this choir rendition of the theme not the entire season theme? Because it is a solid banger. It's so good.
It is very good. I mean, you know, the religious choir, everyone understands and recognizes that. And as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, you did that. And then the crosses, it's great. We're going to have another vote at the end of the season with what your favourite credits are, because I enjoyed that last year when we did that. So we'll definitely do that again this year.
Yeah, the music really tips it over this one, because the crosses are neat, but yeah, the music is special. And I wonder if the music was there because the crosses were kind of cool, but like not, you know, on their own. It'd be like, okay, yeah, crosses making Chucky. I wonder if they put the music in to make it a bit more special. Because it is weird, like episode 3, like episode 2 was all about the school. Why wasn't it in episode 2? Or why wouldn't it be episode, you know, like why isn't it every episode? I'm guessing this music is only going to be for this episode for some reason.
Because of the crosses, I'm guessing. But yeah, you're right. I think it would have worked for the entire season.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird that out of 8 episodes, episode 3 gets this special musical version. But let's get out of the credits into the actual show. We get more Sister Catherine here.
I really like her.
It is a nice scene, and I like this little character growth of, well, not growth, but like little character moment of them both liking art and talking about God in a different way than, you know, the more stereotypical way that the other adults have been talking about.
She's clearly very well meaning with the conversation about guilt, and I did wonder whether she was implying about gayness or whether she was referring to the death of Gary when she talked about guilt.
Well, I don't think she was being critical, because she seems quite defensive of them near the end of this episode.
True.
Though that's something, we'll get to it. I did think, because we had seen Sister Catherine just now and we'd seen the last episode, I kind of want to see Sister Catherine with more of the other characters, because we're at episode 3 now, and it isn't until later this episode that we see her with some of her colleagues, and it seems weird that we get introduced to like Father Bryce and Sister Ruth and like these really stern religious figures, and then we see Sister Catherine like doing a lesson, and she seems like way too modern for this school.
Well, I think it's along the lines of, when you go to school, you don't see the teachers together, do you? You have this teacher for English, that teacher for science, and the other teacher for, I don't know, home ec, whatever. And I think it's actually quite cool that they don't really interact, because that's the perspective of a young person in a school, that each classroom has a different resident in a weird way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess that's a point. I just found, and we'll talk about Sister Catherine later, I just found, like, there was a moment like this in the last episode where, you know, Sister Catherine, she's a modern sister, you know, she's cool and down with the kids. And I just felt it was a bit too isolated. She didn't really feel like a character that was a part of this world quite yet. But we'll get into that conversation later, because they do some a little foreshadowing that we may learn more about this character.
True.
I mean, talking of plot, we get so much plot here. There's the whole Lexi subplot we have going on here. there's a lot of this subplot of her suffering from withdrawal.
Yeah, I think it's quite graphic, actually. Particularly when you consider that the character's only 15 and she's on some pretty heavy shit, and they're not shy about showing her on it as well. It's cool. I like
Yeah, it
it.
is cool. They don't shy away from it. I'm just worrying, because this is such a sort of subplot heavy episode, there's a lot going on. I
Mm.
wonder about that pacing. We're at episode 3 now, and she's suffering from, like, oh, she's running out of drugs. She needs more drugs. Like, she's going to try and go cold turkey. And we're at episode 3. Like, where is this plotline going to go for the rest of the season?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any experience of taking any of the drugs she's on, but I'm led to believe that withdrawal is not fun.
No, and I guess we'll see that, or we'll see her stoop to some new lows and get drugs from the medicine cabinet. We'll see. Yeah, it's definitely a subplot that is going to go places. Yeah, I think it is refreshing to see how frank it is, like you said, and I think
Mm.
the actress for Lexi does a really good job at selling the withdrawal. I only just wonder, like, some of these early scenes, it's kind of like that subplot is just kind of there at the moment. I'm waiting for it to pay off in a way, or tie into something somehow.
Do you think that the payoff might be that it's what causes her death?
Or maybe. I thought it was going to tie in more with Trevor, because we get Trevor in this episode. Well, we'll get Trevor in this episode. This early Trevor, when he sees exactly what kind of drugs she's taking, and he pretty much
Mm.
instantly deduces what she's going through. I really thought that was setting a longer storyline up of, him. The way he says that he's going to make her life a living hell, maybe he was going to become like, hey, I can get those drugs for you. I really thought he was going to go into that direction.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that we predicted that that was what it would be, is that he would be golden child in front of the teachers and really vile behind the scenes, really underhand. And he was. But unfortunately, I mean, he didn't get to plan for a murderous doll. A hench murderous doll.
Yeah, a lot of these predictions kind of not fell short, but well, yeah, they got abruptly punched into oblivion. It kind of reinforces my point here when I watch the scene, how we get Trevor saying, like, I'm going to make your life a living hell. You'll see how. And he's all talk, but we don't really know how he runs his school or how he has hold over people. And now I don't know if we'll ever see that.
What I like about it is it's a very kind of, in a weird, subversive way, a brutal portrayal of what murder does. It cuts a life short. His life, in his head, he was going to be manipulative. He was going to get what he wanted from Lexi by blackmailing her. And that was what he was planning on doing. And murder ruins your plans. And so by Chucky killing him like that, I think it was quite stark in a weird way, in as much as, yeah, he's not the good guy, but everybody in life has plans, and if you get murdered, your plans are scuppered by the fact you've been killed in it. That made more sense in my head.
No, that is a very good point, actually. That is perhaps why the storyline was written, for people to think, oh, he's going to be a player for this season. That is a good point. If that is true, I'll give the writers credit. That does set people's predictions way off.
Not everybody that gets murdered is good. And so, it's easier to understand, I don't know, this nun was going to change the world by looking after broken kids. She gets murdered. It's really, really sad. Her plans were that, whereas Trevor's plans, whilst evil, were also still scuppered. And I liked that. I really liked that. And I really didn't expect to see Trevor die this quickly with so little character development.
Yeah, it was exciting. I wonder if the status quo that he had established will still have some effect, because we'll get to it. His death was not discovered publicly in the same way that the sister last week was. So I think the shadow of Trevor will loom over the next few episodes.
Father O'Malley hasn't been discovered yet either, has he?
No, well, he hasn't even died yet in our discussion.
Well, no, but he has died, but he hasn't died in our discussion. But he also died in the trailer, so as soon as you meet that character, you know his time's up.
That is in my notes. I felt it was kind of a shame that some of these kills were spoiled so clearly in the trailers, but then they are the earlier ones. Yeah. And then kills like Trevor were so unexpected.
So when I saw Father O'Malley's death, I wrote in my notes, for fuck's sake, there's been nothing gory, because there hasn't. Father O'Malley got strangled, Sister Elizabeth had a heart attack, etc. There's not been anything particularly gory. Even the bomb, whilst shocking, because it was a kid, wasn't gory. And then, holy fucking fuck biscuits, murderous hench Chucky heart punch explosion. Well, good. It's about time we got some gore.
They were building up to it, definitely.
I think so. And I think it was deliberately paced like that. Maybe not mundane, but not graphic kills, kind of. I don't even want to say boring kills, but you know what I mean. And they did that, and holy fuck, what happened to Trevor? It was great. Really, really nicely done. And I had planned on moaning about it, and now I'm absolutely delighted because Trevor's death was fucking spectacular.
We're definitely going to in detail about the circumstances of his death.
Sorry, we've gone all over the place again.
I don't mind you going off because it is crazy. We have a lot of scenes of Chucky tied to a chair, but one of our first scenes, Chucky is bragging about murdering people. He brings up that he murdered his own mom. He murdered Devon's mom, which, you know, it's not just a callback, but it's an in-universe real callback. Like, he did murder his mother, and that is something that Devon really remembers because, you know, he loved his mom.
Yeah, and I think Chucky knows how to push people's buttons and has no problem doing it either because he's not a very nice man. Because, again, the character is so peculiarly charming. It's almost quite easy to forget that he's an absolute bastard.
Yeah, it is. The writing does a really good job at needling people in the right way. Because, if the needling gets too soft, then he's just, like, adorable, which, well, he will be adorable. But adorable, like, the main Chucky shouldn't really be adorable.
Yeah. And I think Brad Dourif was massively on form. I mean, he's always on form, but he was great. So good in this episode. The depiction of the kind of brainwashed Chucky, is he, isn't he, is he fucking with them? Holy shit, he's not fucking with them. Oh, this is actually quite sad. And, you know, it makes you question the ethics of the main protagonists. Is this right to brainwash someone, even if it makes them a better person? And, yeah, Brad Dourif was great in this episode. And
he was.
The difference in the power of the voice with hench Chucky as well. Really, really good. Really good.
And I know that I needled you with that Insta followers line.
Oh, fucking Insta followers.
You didn't like that.
No, I don't like Instagram.
That's one of those kind of like Freddy lines where it's...
Why does Instagram insist on trimming your photos? And you can't, and there's no way to say, don't fucking trim my photos. Why does it do it? Fuck Instagram. Dog shit. Twitter doesn't trim your photos. Facebook doesn't trim your photos. I've never even downloaded TikTok, I'll be honest with you. Sorry. I got distracted.
Well, Twitter, I mean, I don't know. Am I an old man for using Twitter on desktop? I feel like that's a Zoomer thing. Like, the kids these days never use Twitter on desktop. But that's the thing. No one uses it. You can use Instagram on your computer. No one uses Instagram on your computer.
No, I didn't even know you could.
You can.
Does it trim your photographs on your computer?
It does, but like, there's no.
Fuck.
It still looks. It looks terrible.
Fuck it. Fuck Instagram. Why do it's really annoying when it does that?
I was going to say Twitter's great, but in comparison, Twitter is great because now
I agree.
Now you can do videos and photos together, which I did for the. I'll retweet it on our CHUCKYVISION.
Yeah. No, that popped me. I was like, I didn't post this. That must have been Dev. Oh, that's quite good. That I like that.
I need to do more of those. I need to do that Pope holding up Buff Chucky.
Yes, yes, you do. Anyway, I also really like the doll in this scene. There were some real subtleties of the animatronics. Did you clock that he raised one eyebrow at one point? That was really cool.
There are a lot of subtleties to his face. It's very fluid now, the animations.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on, there is an odd point in that scene where Chucky digs Devon about not having the killer instinct because, he can tell that in people. But is it really murder if you're killing Chucky? I feel like that's not a big deal.
I mean, at this point, Chucky's been in inverted commas killed more times than he's got Instagram followers.
That is
Fuck
probably
Instagram.
true. Maybe we'll see more of that idea, but it is odd that because, Devon keeps saying that they should just kill Chucky off, but then he never does it. I understand that he's not doing it because he wants to believe in Jake's idea, but I feel like, I don't know about the idea of Devon won't do it because he doesn't have the heart to kill. Chucky isn't really a person, is he? Not at this point.
No. I'll tell you what I did like about how they get Scout Chucky to be brainwashed Chucky. I mean, the blatant Clockwork Orange reference was great. Again, every time that there's something as blatant as that, it makes me think about the opening scene of Bride of Chucky. I really like it when this franchise just pokes fun, because I don't really feel like I've seen anything poke fun at Chucky.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's been some film where they've made fun of Chucky. I know there's like sketch shows and stuff, but like I'm trying to think of a film, like another horror film that tried to take a stab at Chucky.
A Scary Movie had a doll in it. I've only watched the first one. I couldn't bring myself to watch any of the others.
I know that like those are haunted house movies, those made fun of Annabelle. Oh god, what's it called? I think Stan Helsing may have had a Chucky parody in it. But like that's parody. I think what you mean, like what you're saying is more like this. Like Chucky is its own proper story, making references.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Scream makes references.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
And there's another reflection thing in his eyes, which, there's a lot of reflections going on in this episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. The weird Ludovico sequence from Clockwork Orange. Just references within references. So that is a Clockwork Orange. But then he watches John Carpenter's The Thing. I see The Funhouse for a shot. I think... I don't know if it was Psycho 2. It may have been Psycho 3 at one point. And then there was other shots that I didn't quite recognize. But yeah, a lot of... they showed a lot of The Thing, didn't they?
But I think it's all actual horror films rather than stuff that they made themselves for this specific purpose. And I kind of like that. And I'd be interested to know what costs more, making your own random horror scenes or paying for the licenses and the rights to use the horror films. But I guess we know that Psycho has been invaded by Chucky, hasn't it? So
yeah, I think that is the case. I think, and yeah, The Thing is Universal as well. I don't know if it is a matter of money. I think they just have the rights already, so they were allowed to use them. Because, as I say, it's not just like a shot of The Thing on the phone. There are moments where The Thing, they just cut to The Thing, like full screen. They're just showing a shot from The Thing.
Yeah.
And it's also weird because you know how in the original Halloween they show the John Carpenter shows the old 50s Thing from Another World.
Right.
In Halloween Ends, they one of the characters is watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
Brilliant. I mean, The Thing is completely iconic. Completely iconic. There's no wonder it's being referred to.
I mean, you're talking about like references. I mean, this is two horror slashers referencing another horror film like in the same week.
Yeah, I bet that wasn't deliberate.
No, but good timing. And then we also got a reference within its own franchise. We got Chucky referencing Aunt Maggie, Chucky Wants to Watch the 9 o'clock news, which is a direct quote from Child's Play 1, which is not, aside from Andy, not really a film that gets referenced much.
No, I guess not. I think it's more focused on the Chucky that we saw in Bride onwards, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is interesting because that does reveal that, how we are seen later of Chucky asking Lexi about her boyfriend. Chucky, on the surface, doesn't remember stuff, but this Chucky clearly can remember all the way back to Child's Play 1. So
That's a
that's
good point.
interesting. And then also, did you get the great reference when the music they're playing is on a cassette? It says this cassette tape belongs to Eddie Caputo.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Fuck.
one of the cassette tapes has that written on it.
Brilliant. Which does work out time-wise as, tapes were the thing when Eddie Caputo was young.
Yeah, it would have been left there, yeah.
A
lot of good references.
Amazing.
Now, I guess we're still going through kind of scene by scene. There's a couple points. Do we want to get into the Chucky side of things, or do we want to get into the Nadine side of things? Because
Nadine, she's brilliant. I love her. She's amazing. She's a black belt in Krav Maga, and she's got a bitch in there. I knew I was going to like this character, but I adore this character. She's batshit and adorable. I love her.
She really shines.
Nadine spin-off series, please.
It makes me wonder, is she too pure for this show? Like, is she too pure for this world?
Oh, no, I don't want her to. Don't, Dev.
Much how Gary was just a little shining star. Like, isn't it
You've got to stop this. You've got to stop this. We don't. No. This is heartbreaking for me.
I mean, just every scene, like the Father O'Malley scene before, when she's trying to get a confession, and it shouldn't take longer than 20, 30, let's make it 45 minutes.
Oh, Father O'Malley's reaction to Nadine is fucking wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I laughed out loud, and I've always said this. I say this quite a lot on whatever podcast I'm on. If you sat in a room on your own, if something's funny, you'll go, huh. But if something's genuinely hilarious, you will actually still laugh out loud, even though there's no one to share that experience with. I howled with laughter at Father O'Malley's interactions with Nadine. They were both brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Kind of like she turns off and he's like, it was so good. People do have that experience. So someone who's a delight to other people, then they might turn up to someone else and they're like, I just love it. Nadine's the best. I love her.
Yeah, she has many, many, many good lines. But also, she's not just Don's excuse to write funny lines. She is becoming a really interesting character. It's setting up in those Father O'Malley scenes that she really talks about her soul as a real thing. Like, she really believes in the soul. And you get that idea later when she's talking about Chucky, of her starting to question what Chucky is, like, and what does that mean in the wider world.
Yeah.
And Don said that, like, the fun of writing this season was exploring the concept, the reality of Chucky from a religious viewpoint, because they believe in the quote-unquote supernatural. And I guess what he really did mean Nadine.
I'm just going to say this now. As much as I enjoyed the arc of Lexi last season, I would prefer for Nadine to survive over Lexi. I think she's brilliant. I love her. She's got a bitchin' knife. Did I mention that? Have you seen that? That's been super memed already in like
I've seen that, yeah.
on Twitter. It's fucking great. And the actor who plays is getting a load of love as well. And I'm delighted for them as well. Brilliant. Brilliant. Love this.
It's a very adorable episode, this one, because it's very funny, because as adorable as she is, then we get new Chucky trying to out-adorable her.
Yeah. What are we going to call this Chucky? I've been calling him Brainwashed Chucky.
I've been just calling him Good Chucky.
Good Chucky, all right.
Because I guess he is good.
Or Innocent Chucky.
And he's very innocent. I mean, my God. Like Brad Dourif in his little boy voice, when he's like, the ropes came loose during My Little Pony, but I didn't want to bother anyone.
I mean, that was a hell of a line.
And then you get that Nadine Chucky duo of like, I'm hungry. Oh, I must be from all the vomiting. It's ridiculous and adorable and
Yeah.
absurd. And I hope nothing bad happens to Good Chucky because we need him around for a few more episodes just to establish him as a character.
I mean, Hench Chucky's probably going to murderize Good Chucky, isn't he? Are we sticking with Hench Chucky for Hench Chucky?
I think we were saying Buff Chucky the last couple episodes, but Hench Chucky's also good.
Okay, Hench Chucky.
I think that what kept making me laugh about Good Chucky is just all the little noises that Brad Dourif kept doing. But normal Chucky never makes this many noises, but Good Chucky is constantly just like, eh, eh, eh.
I think what's brilliant about Good Chucky is everything that any other Chucky would be absolutely repulsed by.
Well, that and being bald. But, bald Chucky's going to prove him wrong.
Bald Chucky's the best Chucky. We've already had this conversation.
Buff Chucky thinks he's in charge, and Bald Chucky's going to really show him up.
Bald Chucky gonna kick some ass.
But I hope that isn't the case. I mean, we're talking the ending here, but I hope that isn't the case that, one of them instantly gets murdered. I think keeping them around, and that was the charm of, like, the end of Cult of Chucky, just seeing those three Chuckies talk to each other. There was a real charm in that, so...
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I hope innocent Chucky just gets some kind of punishment.
Aww, he gonna die.
Right, this will be a tangent. Father Bryce. We're back to Father Bryce. I mean, Father Bryce keeps popping up, but this is the big moment. Father Bryce sees Devon and Jake together, kissing at the stairs.
Right, going back to how I was talking about, if something's really funny, even though there's no one else to experience it with, you still laugh. I genuinely went, no, when Father Bryce saw the kiss. I'm like, oh, you're like a 5-year-old child watching Doctor Who.
Well, I felt the same way. Yeah, it really got a reaction out of me because of what Father Bryce does or doesn't do. The fact that he doesn't just storm in and like break that up. Like the fact that he inspects it. He makes sure he sees what's happening, and then he stays back, and you can see like the gears turning in his head, like he's thinking, because he says at the start of this episode that he's not into punishing people. He doesn't want to punish Jake for stealing a doll. He wants Jake to make a choice. And then I realized, shit, is this where Father Bryce's character is going? The fact that he believes everyone makes a choice. Is Father Bryce going to say that being gay is a choice?
I think you're right. And I think there's something more sinister about Bryce because he's quite calm in everything that he does. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be badass and really unpleasant, and it's going to work really, really well, I think.
Yeah, you get that line. He says it himself, like I'll give you the choice of giving that doll back, but like I'm not going to wait forever. I don't know if we're going to get the extreme of him being a real cruel bastard like Jake's dad was, but he's going to be sinister in a whole different way.
Yeah, it feels really scary.
Yeah, the way he punished Devon, it's going to go that way where, hey, you're just doing your penance.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a more cerebral evil than Chucky. It's going to be a cruelty, but thinking you're right.
Yeah.
Chucky knows damn well he's an evil bastard and relishes it. Whereas that's not the case with Bryce at all.
Yeah, and I think if Don really wants to go into this, and, he's very transparent about it, I think that is the way that this character is going. That he is going to insist that this is a choice, and Devon and Jake are going to make their case that, no, we're together, that's it. There's going to be a philosophical bumping of heads there.
I mean, every queer person really has had someone do the, when did you choose to be gay?
Yeah.
It's a choice. Have you tried not being gay? All these horrible cliches. And there's almost the cliched response, isn't it? When did you choose to be straight? But I think this is being done in a really kind of thought-provoking and quite unpleasant, almost logical way with Bryce, and that's dark as fuck.
It is. And you know, I forget we had a name for a jingle, because I keep making predictions so fucking constantly in this season.
You do.
But just how there's always got to be someone to blame for the murders at the end of the season, how Junior got all the blame. It would be kind of comic irony if Father Bryce got all the blame at the end of this.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Everyone would sort of parrot his belief that Father Bryce made the choice to kill all these people.
Yes, that's fascinating.
Maybe. I mean, that's just me trying to write the show.
I mean, you've made some wild predictions already, but that almost feels... Yeah, that almost makes sense.
Then who knows? We haven't, like we said, we have not seen Bryce dole out punishment yet. Well, not real punishment, yeah. Aside from Devon, we haven't seen real punishment yet.
And also, I want to make it clear that we haven't seen any screeners. We're not pretending that we're predicting stuff when we've seen like up to series 4. We didn't get screeners. We did try and get them, but we couldn't get them, and I was a bit upset.
I mean, I would brazenly be more specific with my quote unquote predictions if that was true.
Maybe if next series we get screeners, we don't tell anyone, and we come up with these wild predictions and look badass because of it.
Or retroactively, when Mika finally gets her robot arms, I can say, spoilers, guys, I already knew this. Don told me.
Yeah, but... Whatever. He's not getting robot arms.
Look, we got buff Chucky and friendly Chucky. We are confidently sliding back into the insanity of Bride and Seed of Chucky.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. The batshittery is already strong. But also the comedy's really strong.
It is. Yeah.
Sister Ruth saying she had the right bedside manner popped me. That was another laugh out loud moment.
Sister Ruth had some good lines. I'm glad she got some good lines when she said she also teaches auto. Which I kind of want to see. I want to see Butch Ruth all of a sudden.
I think Sister Ruth is so dead. She's so fucking dead. Poor Sister Ruth.
She wasn't as crazy this episode. She didn't talk about any Jesus faces and tacos.
No, that's true. But the deadpan and the complete lack of humour in her was particularly funny. I kind of don't like the character, but like the character, if that makes sense.
She has the potential to be someone like May Michelle.
Yeah, exactly that. Love to hate.
Yeah.
But I think she's funnier than Michelle. Michelle's just a bitch.
True. They set Ruth up as that, that real deadpan personality. And it was set up like, she was immediately going to start mistreating them. And it's not yet. She's just doing a good job so far.
True.
We should also say former Mayor Michelle, because that was a little random nugget of exposition.
That was a big revelation, that. I was like, controversy.
And we did say we want to see more of Michelle, so next time we see her, she will be a different person in some ways. Probably a lot of ways, if she is knocked down a peg or two now.
Yeah, that would be interesting character development, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, when we catch up with her and Caroline, it'll probably be a very different lifestyle, maybe.
I do miss Caroline, but I'm very glad that we've got Nadine.
Nadine is a good substitute. We can't compare them, but...
She's almost like the Innocent, isn't she? Caroline's not around, so we've got a different Innocent.
Well, I mean, she's sort of innocent, but then you get those tinges of, like, her stealing stuff.
She's a thief. Yeah, true. She's going to be like this one time at band camp, I put a flute up my pussy, isn't she?
We don't know how much stuff she's been stealing, so she might have stolen some crazy stuff.
And a flute.
Though, now with Father O'Malley's death, this a development to her character. It's only a very little foreshadowing the fact that when she comes outside and she picks up those rosemary beads,
Rosary beads, not rosemary
Rosemary.
beads. Rosemary is like it's like something you get for an old granny. Like it's like a potpourri, isn't it? Rosemary.
It's just like a herb.
Okay.
But no, rosary beads. That's not good because that's going to tie her to Father O'Malley's death.
Oh shit! Why did she collect the rosemary beads?
She just likes taking stuff, doesn't she? And she's like,
I love
free
how
beads.
you didn't respond to that. I love how you didn't even give me the dignity of acknowledging that I'd taken the bits out of you. Oh, there was a line like at this point, just after the Sister Ruth scene. My life couldn't get any worse. Oh, Lexi. Oh, Lexi, why did you say that dog shit?
Yeah, things are going to happen.
Oh, hench Chucky.
So my notes at this point are just mainly quotes. I've got Mr. Pastor sounds genuinely cool from Chucky, which is a great moment. Just Brad Dourif saying random shit like that is so good.
Yeah, Brad Dourif's just wonderful, isn't he?
I mean, I've been trying to find it on Twitter. I've seen other clips, but I haven't seen that one. The moment of just the ASMR of him eating an apple and going, so crisp. Very weird.
Yeah. Has it been established that Chucky could eat even at this point? I think this is the first time we've seen one of the dolls eat.
I think it is the first time we've seen it. They did joke about it last episode. Nadine asks, like, can he eat? And Lexi's like, I don't know.
He can ejaculate. We know he can ejaculate.
I mean, do they need to eat? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. That's just, when you think about it, the lore of Chucky just gets wider and wider and wider. And there are things that you don't think about until he starts eating an apple. You're like, shit, do they have to eat?
I don't know if they have to, but we'll see. I'm just thinking now the conversation Nadine had last episode when she asks, do they eat? And then she follows that up with, do they have to go to the bathroom? Are we going to have a scene of good Chucky saying he needs to go to the party?
I mean, right. If the doll penis ejaculates, then it's a functioning penis. So surely they have to wee as well.
That makes sense, but then I don't know. I guess magic just waves away a lot of that.
Right, Dev. I mean, I found something out. I'm 44 years old, and literally this week I found out that women have got two holes.
Yeah.
They don't wee out the vagina. They've got a little pipe at the top.
Well, it's called a urethra. We all have urethras.
I didn't know that. They've got two pipes.
I mean, fair enough. You're not interested at all. I mean,
no, I'm not. But one of my female friends told me, I was like, I thought she was taking the piss. I wouldn't believe her. She had to Google it and show it me. Right, we've got one pipe. Men have got one pipe. Women have got two pipes. Fuck.
Let's not get into how many pipes Tiffany has.
Oh dear.
We'll save these questions for Don to answer one day.
What about women's pipes?
No, about doll pipes. I'm sure he'll get into it.
Right, but I literally learned that this week. I was flabbergasted. I was.
It's a thing that a lot of men learn at some point or another.
I've got distracted.
I'm always doing segues here, talking about people knowing things. We get another Sister Catherine scene, and it's her and another adult, finally. It's her and Father Bryce. And we get that little moment of the back and forth of them saying, like, you know what's up with Jake and Devon. I don't think I do. You know what I mean. I don't think I do. And that's interesting because it really... That's what I was talking about, how I want to see more of Sister Catherine. Like, she would be fine with it, but then she's got to... she works there. So, and we talked about this, how you don't have to be Catholic to work in a Catholic school like this, but everyone else is going to be Catholic. So, like, you kind of have to, like, keep it to yourself in a way. Ultimately, it's the way of the school, isn't it? Like, if Father Bryce wants to, quote unquote, punish Jake and Devon, then, like, Sister Catherine has to think about her own job first.
Yeah.
But we're gonna.
Yeah.
It's a little scene. It's a little scene with Sister Catherine. But then we do get that line of like I forget the context. I forget what Jake actually says. But Father Bryce does say very, not sinisterly, very noticeably. He says Sister Catherine knows all about that. So there's some story there.
Yeah, that's going to come back, that, I think.
I did think that. But then again, like trying to assume every character has backstory. We all thought the teacher from season 1 had some kind of huge backstory. No, she was just there.
And even in this episode, we thought Trevor was going to be much more of a major part than basically fodder.
Yeah, well, God, yeah, we're almost there. We have a really nice scene here. A real good scene for Lexi to act and crying because she's lost the last of her drugs in the bathrooms, and Nadine comes in. And this was a really nice scene, wasn't it?
That plug hole view as well. It was very much like the key in the last episode.
Yeah.
That was really gorgeous.
Same director from last episode.
Oh, is it? But there you go. Makes sense then. But yeah, that scene between the two of them was super lovely.
And it's nice because it's not like, you know, so many TV shows when they have moments like that, crisis of faith and, you know, down moments. The other friend is always like, don't worry, I'm going to get you through this. We're going to, you know, I'm going to help you out. And Nadine is just very matter of fact about it, isn't she? Like, she's like, I don't have the answers. I don't know what you're going through, but like, if you just call me your friend, then I'll be here to listen.
She's so lovely.
It's very basic, but it works. It's what Lexi needs.
And it's quite an unlikely source, I think, with Nadine, because let's be blunt, she's a massive geek. And old Lexi, original Lexi from Series 1, wouldn't have entertained that person as a friend whatsoever.
Yeah, and she talks about that with Trevor this episode, that, you know, she was a terrible person and she's changed as a person. And we're getting more evidence of that.
Yeah, but I think you mentioned this in our last episode, actually. She's still got the power that she had as a bully, but she's using it ever so slightly in a different way.
So, speaking of people changing, Trevor changed from alive to dead.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you've talked about this, but the very sudden, absolutely no setup for this at all. Just Trevor comes in, ready to plant some drugs, and he does plant some drugs, so those will come up later. I'm guessing Lexi will probably find those once she's gone cold turkey.
She already found them and pocketed them. Did you not clock that?
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh.
So she's not going to get caught. She pocketed them just before the inspection?
I didn't think she was going to get caught. What I meant was, once she finds those drugs, before it was easier, like, oh, I have to go cold turkey now, I've got no drugs. Now she has drugs.
It was a blink and you miss it moment. When they put Trevor's body in the closet, she had his shoe, and she tried to put it in the drawer where he'd put the drugs. She quickly pocketed the drugs and then found somewhere else to hide the shoe.
Okay. See, that's what I mean, though. Like,
but yeah.
Yeah, it's a common thing. Like, it's not just about going cold turkey. It's like, you've got, like, fucking drugs in your hands. Like, are you just going to throw those away?
And this is the thing, though. It's very, very difficult to spot everything on one watch. And you and I basically do this on one watch. You would obviously have spotted that the second time around.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I mean. A lot of stuff was happening. But, well, that's them hiding the body. The setup, though, is, he gives those drugs down. And then we see the shadow of Chucky come in, close the door. And you think, okay, it's Chucky, maybe good Chucky, maybe the other Chucky, because we see that fucking damned UPX truck. Like, what a secondary villain.
Massive heel, that driver.
But yeah, in comes Chucky, and we all assume it's just, another Chucky. But then, bam, punch to the face, and he goes flying across the room.
Yeah.
And he gets about precisely 2 seconds of begging in before he gets Mortal Kombat, like, heart ripped out of the chest.
What a lovely way of putting it, Mortal Kombat. You're not wrong. It's like you're absolutely right. It's a finish him.
It's really well done. If we're talking about you said about how none of the other deaths had been gory. This one was real gory. It looked really good. And
Yeah.
it's a real good modern mix of practical. I'm sure a fair bit of that was practical, but also a lot of it was CGI, not just compositing, but CGI. How the heart was still beating and there was blood pumping out of it. It looked really good.
And it came out of nowhere because you didn't know that this was Hench Chucky. You just knew it was a Chucky and there was a Chucky in the room. And then suddenly,
Yeah,
kind of like superhuman Chucky. Wow.
and that is scary because Chucky has always had a weird strength to him. You know, it's been poked fun of, but like, I mean, that's kind of a joke of Chucky. You know, if you see Chucky, and it happened the other episode, how the good Chucky got caught. Yeah, people say, like, if you get into a fight with Chucky, you just kick him and he goes flying across the room. Yeah. Or, like, if he's running after you with a knife, you just close the door and he can't get through because he can't reach the door handle. This Chucky could just punch through a door. He could punch through a wall.
Yeah.
You can't even, grab this Chucky because you could probably break both your arms.
Yeah.
And that is really cool to see how they're going to try and beat this Chucky.
Yeah, I think it gives it a lot more peril because they did establish that, he's kind of flimsy as a doll in a lot of ways, particularly when, I think we said how easily they caught good Chucky.
Yeah, relatively. They just kicked him.
Yeah.
But that's really good. That's really cool because that's only literally just something I really contemplated then by putting it into words was it's not just Buff Chucky is cool because it's funny. It's like, oh, this is actually a challenge for them to overcome. It's different than the other Chuckies.
Yeah. We talked about how essentially he's immortal, there's infinite Chuckies, but this is a Chucky that is not only infinite, but also almost a Jason Voorhees or a Freddy, someone who's got really significant powers as the slasher baddie.
Yeah, that really makes me wonder, like, what other kind of powers these Chuckies can have.
Are we going to get a sorcerer Chucky, like in Dream Warriors?
Wizard Chucky, maybe. That is actually, now that I say that, Wizard Chucky would be pretty cool.
Wizard Chucky would probably just have some voodoo powers if they did it, but I was taking the piss. I just wanted to reference Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors because it is one of the greatest films of all time.
But that would be interesting, though, like a nerdy Chucky, but then he could actually use, like, voodoo powers. Like, imagine just a Chucky throwing a fireball.
Yeah. How did you react to the revelation that good Chucky was not fucking with them?
It was good, and they all did a really good job acting, and Brad Dourif did a really good job with the voice, because for a moment, normal Chucky, a good Chucky, was actually scarier than normal Chucky. And, like, it took a moment for it to, like, be, oh, he's adorable, but he might be dangerous. But then, yeah, he is now just fully adorable, and that... I like that it took a while for that to settle in, but then of course we did see him be adorable by himself, so that kind of confirms that he is that now.
Yeah, I felt bad for doubting him.
yeah, that's a good point, and that's kind of a weird parallel. I don't think they played on it, but it's a weird parallel between how I get maybe other people would treat them. Because we know these kids, like, they're just nice kids, but then other people would be like, oh, watch out, those guys murdered a 10-year-old.
Yeah, good point. I hadn't clocked that comparison, but you're bang on.
Yeah, they didn't really make much of a comparison. That's why I hope he stays around, and they can pull out some of that stuff.
I know, but I do fear that Buff Chucky is going to kill nice Chucky.
I think he's too good of a character to just kill immediately.
I mean, you could have said that about Trevor.
Yeah, true. You gotta hope for Buff Chucky to come in, he raises his arm, and then somebody stops his arm. It's Bald Chucky. Bald Chucky is like, no, he's family.
Is Bald Chucky Commando Chucky? I hope he is. Now, what if all of our wild predictions were true? People are going to think we actually have had screeners. We haven't had screeners. I'm still sour that we didn't get screeners as well.
For some reason then when you said Commando Chucky, I thought that was just a variation that just was a nudist.
Oh, maybe he is. We don't know. That might be it.
That'd be a fun variation. Just one Chucky that was just nude.
I don't want to see Chucky's chode. We did see Bart Simpson's penis in the Simpsons movie,
We did.
didn't we?
What a moment in cultural history that was.
That was disgraceful. Dear. And that's it, isn't it? We're finished on Bart Simpson's penis, for fuck's sake.
There was a lot. There was a lot in that episode.
Oh, this podcast. How do we end up being so ridiculous?
I mean, this was a fucking ridiculous episode.
True, very true. This hench Chucky with his ripped shirt. It was so fucking silly.
Who ripped his shirt?
No, maybe he ripped his shirt with his henchness like the Incredible Hulk. But I think it's really, really fascinating that Brad Dourif is clearly having the time of his life coming up with different voices for all the different types of Chucky. And hench Chucky just happened to have a deeper voice because he's more butch. Is that how it works? The deeper your voice, the stronger you are. That's why you and I are so fucking effeminate, obviously.
That did make me think of a good point with Buff Chucky, is how he came to be so buff. Bald Chucky I chalked up to a manufacturing issue. That doll just happened to be bald. And Good Chucky, we saw the process. He became Good Chucky. I guess, was there a moment where they were like, because, they sent the Scout Chucky in, and then he never came back. So then they were like, we've got to send in the second Chucky to sort things out. And like, did one of the Chuckies like raise their hand and they were like, I'm going to be the buff Chucky. And then he just started working out.
Here's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
It is now established that Chuckies can eat. We don't need to know whether they have to eat, but Chuckies can eat because nice Chucky eats the apple. Therefore, buff Chucky can consume steroids.
Oh.
I think he has just roided himself up or something along those lines, had like steroid injections or something. I think that's how they'll have done it.
We did see Chucky covered in needles in season 1, so he can take it.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? So when we see Chucky's death, he has human-like internal organs. So he has got some kind of system and he bleeds. So you can put steroids into his blood. So that buff Chucky is actually roid rage Chucky. That's my prediction.
And much like how Chucky can take a lot of punishment during his death scenes, he probably could like work out more than the recommended amount. Do you know what I mean? He could really, really push himself. He might be like a gorilla. Gorillas have never been like scientifically benched. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one knows the upper strengths of a gorilla because you can't teach a gorilla to weightlift.
Well, no. Good luck trying.
Chucky might not have an upper limit.
God, we're good at this. I think we're right. Oh, Dev, I fucking love this show. I love it so much. It's batshit crazy, and it almost feels like it's completely for me. Like, just created for me and my love of this weird and wonderful fucking queer horror franchise. And I think I was going to say this every week. I'm just so delighted that there's so many people along for the ride with me that love this program as much as I do.
It's good. Season 2 has been very, very good. And it's only going to get better. Before we sign off, you haven't seen it. It's very brief. But the 20 or so seconds of the next episode tease, we do get Tiffany. And we do finally get the rest of the ensemble of Gina Gershon, Joey Pantaleone, Meg Tilly.
Oh.
And do you want to know what's the exciting reveal they made? That it isn't them just going to a party? Well,
go on.
I think this was impromptu. I think this was an excuse made by Jennifer Tilly. But they find a dead body, and then Jennifer Tilly goes, "This is a murder mystery party, and any of you could be the suspects."
Fucking hell.
So it's going to be a murder mystery episode, like Knives Out or something.
Wow, that's going to be ridiculous. I look forward to it.
And also, apparently, it's episode 4 next, isn't it? Apparently, that is when WWE superstar Liv Morgan cameos.
I know, right? Liv Morgan, that's a revelation. They had Sasha Banks in The Mandalorian, and that was a novelty. And now they're all over the place. I love it. Why the hell not?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. She wasn't in the teaser, so who knows what kind of role she'll play. Because if it's set entirely at the party, then who knows who she's going to be.
I would be delighted. I don't think it'll happen, but I would be delighted if she's a murder victim.
Maybe. Oh, she does want. She did say there's a video clip of her. It was some YouTube interview, but then Chucky reposted it on the actual Twitter where she says she doesn't want to be a protagonist. She doesn't want to be a lead role. She just wants to get murdered by Chucky.
Fascinating.
And you can look forward to all of that and more next week on Chucky Vision. This is where we usually do our plugs, but we'll keep them short. You can find me at Absolute Travesty on Twitter. You can find Mark at MarkAdamsHC on Twitter. And yeah, you'll see our stuff. Whatever we're doing, we tweet about it fairly regularly. So you'll see our stuff.
No, but not Instagram.
Not
Fuck
Instagram.
Fuck Instagram. And it's square pictures. Fucking right, sign off, Dave. Say goodbye.
And so, until then, wanna play?
You're so butch, Dave.
We're still perfecting normal Braddorf, and then we also have to now do pitch shift Braddorf. Effects on effects.
Chucky Vision is a podcast brought to you by the We Made This Network. Follow us on Twitter at CHUCKYVISION. Follow the network on Twitter at WMT_network. Our website is WeMadeThisNetwork.com. The logo was designed by Dev, and the theme tune composed by Dark Fantasy Studios. Wanna play?
Are you a fan of the Marvel Universe?
Can you tell your Kang from your Doctor Doom?
Well, if so, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Podcast 616 is the We Made This Network's long-running Marvel podcast, and it's under new management.
We're your hosts, Ashley Thomas
and Hugh McStay.
And together, we are going to lead you every step of the way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe's upcoming multiverse saga.
Everything from She-Hulk to Avengers Secret Wars will be covered on the podcast in the kind of detail that would make a Wikipedia article blush.
We're going to have some detours into the wider Marvel world where we'll look at non-MCU projects dating all the way back to Marvel's origins in the groovy, funky 60s, and all the way up to the birth of the greatest franchise in cinema history.
And we'll be joined on our adventure by a roll call of guests so impressively knowledgeable that they'll make the Avengers themselves look clueless by comparison.
So if you like your opinions sharper than Wolverine's claws,
or takes hotter than the Human Torch's underpants,
then get Podcast 616 in your ears as a matter of urgency.
You'll love it 3000.
Podcast 616. Disassemble.